All right, folks, here we are. It is the offseason for the Houston Astros. The postseason is still going on. We don't care about that. Is this Astros dynastic run still alive? We're going to discuss a portion of that conversation because it's deep on this edition of Locked On Astros. Let's go.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. And Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. And positive, I want to say something real quick. I got my Dale Not Dale podcast shirt to match my brand new Astros. Look at that cool ice brim. So, hey, man, I'm happy to be here, Eric. How about you?
We are happy that all you are here. The day after the ALCS, it was a heartbreaking loss for the Houston Astros, but at least we were there. At least we're the Bart Simpson and we have the cake in our hand, and at least we tried. A lot of teams would have loved to have been in our situation. A lot of teams would have loved to have been 7 straight playoffs, 3 straight or 7 straight ALCSs. And so I think the Astros are in a good shape. We'll talk about that today, but we want to thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And we're going to go and put this down here because we want to get 10,000. We really want to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
That's
and
right.
So we're going to put this up here to have a subliminal message there. You don't see it, but it's there. Just to get you to go and subscribe to us and make us your first listen every day and become an everydayer. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can go out there and just have fun with FanDuel. Today, make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. And there's a lot for us to discuss all offseason. We're going to be here all offseason with you. I know there's a lot to discuss. Dusty Baker, what's going to happen to him? What's going to happen to Martin Maldonado? Are the Astros going to bring him back? Is it kind of a package deal? Dusty Baker, Martin Maldonado. Do Astros want him back? We'll have to see. I know he's kind of the field general, and we saw other teams worried about what he's doing. Is he can come back maybe as a bench coach, something like that? There's a lot of things that we can discuss all season, all off season, and trade rumors. Guys, don't go away. We're here. And this is going to be fun. Yes, the World Series is going to start on Friday. It's going to either be the Diamondbacks or the Phillies by the time, if y'all are listening to this tomorrow, the results I already know, but we're recording this at 7:30 this night. But I think, I don't know about you, Brett, but I'm proud of the Houston Astros. I'm proud of where they came from. This was not a team that won 106 games this year. This was a team that won 90 games. They struggled to get there. They had a losing record at home. And I hate to say it, but it showed in the playoffs. And they lost, 22 of their last 27 games at home, including playoffs. And
it sounds so much worse when you say it. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I won't say it. They won 5 out of the last 27 games at home. Is that better? They won 5 out of the last 27 games. Is that better?
No, I'm just saying.
I know, I get you. I'm just playing around.
It's insane that we're saying that, but it's anyways, go ahead. Finish up. Sorry.
So what happened this season? We're going to probably reflect on this all off season, and I don't think anybody will know. I don't think a NASA scientist can figure out exactly what happened to the Astros at home. And it seems like the improving the batter's eye helped.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna immediately nix the batter's eye rumor because the Rangers demolished us in our ballpark the
It
last
helped
two
them.
games of the season. So yeah, don't give me the batter's eye BS excuse. That's an excuse, and that sounds like something Aaron Boone would say after a Yankees loss. Oh, the roof was open, so that's why the Astros won. Or some just that. Look, Eric Wilbite says it best. He says they did exactly what they did in the regular season. They performed as such. And I thought about this today. I don't know why I didn't think about it last night. And maybe we mentioned it and I was just in such a fog. But dad burn it. Why did we have to win the AL West? If we would have not won the AL West, we would have probably won the ALCS. But
Yeah.
here's why I'm glad we didn't. Now, this is a first for me. Here's why I'm glad we didn't make it to the World Series. Because if we make it to the World Series and if the Phillies have, well, I guess I have home field advantage. We would still have an advantage because we're better on the road. I just would be afraid how we'd perform in the World Series because this team, Eric, these last two games, I mean, outside of Yordan Alvarez and outside of Jose Altuve, this team just really underperformed. Dubon was pressing. Tucker has got to, that dude you know what he needs? He needs a month or two off. He doesn't need to do baseball workouts. He doesn't need to think about baseball. He just needs to go relax, get away, escape, clear his mind, and come back and not even think about 2023. Yeah, he was the RBI leader when he came out of the regular season. But the way he was walking around on the field, this team just looked like a bunch of whipped dogs last night on the field. I hated seeing it, but they kept fighting. They would score a run. They would get a rally. And the energy for the crowd, someone said, I feel bad for the crowd because the team didn't show up, but the crowd did. And the crowd's been criticized by people who haven't been going to the games. It was electric. Whoever produced the game last night, the music, the game plan, phenomenal job. That needs to be the way every game should be in the regular season. It should be high energy because honestly, even with 1-run rallies, Eric, I didn't even realize, like, you would have thought they scored 4 or 5 runs that inning. So we need to figure out a way to make home field an advantage. And maybe that's what these Astros need. Maybe we need to get off our tail ends, cheer more. Whoever's producing it needs to be a production, and they need to create this atmosphere. But I really think we're going to see a shift in mindset. I need a strong manager, Eric. I need someone who's not laid back. I don't need a player's coach. I need a guy who's going to take the bull by the horns and tell a guy, if you don't get out there and produce, you're sitting. And if you do produce, you can play as many games as you want. You know what I'm saying? I need something like that.
Yeah, and we'll see. We don't even know for sure if Dusty Baker is going to retire. I know that there's a lot of hints. The Athletic came out and has said that there's been hints thrown out. But Dusty Baker, on the day after, day of his team being eliminated, he's not going to come and say, "Oh, look at me. I'm going to go ahead and retire. Go ahead and make this about me, not my team that just got eliminated after potentially going to the World Series for the 3rd straight season." So to his credit, he knew enough to say, yeah, this is not my day. Let's go and have the team have their day, even though it was a bad day, but it's still about them. And a lot of the players they had, as they were talking about Dusty Baker, it was great playing for him. And it was in the mode of, yeah, I think he's moving on. So we'll have to see what happened. And I know that Christian Javier was not himself. And I know Martin Maldonado said he might have been a little too amped for this game.
I
And
think
he was throwing a little bit too hard. And when he realized that the Rangers were sitting on his fastball, he started throwing his sliders too much. And then that's when they started hitting his sliders. So the game plan kind of got out of whack. And then when your starter gets out of the game so early, that kind of happens. But I'm not going to blame this series on Dusty Baker. Yeah, there's some weird moves at times, but he didn't strike out with runners in scoring position. He didn't strike out with bases loaded. Yes, he brought in John Singleton in weird moments. Yes, he could have taken out Martin Maldonado, but we know Dusty Baker by now, and he's not going to do stuff like that.
Someone's asking me if we want Maldonado and Dusty Baker to leave. Look, here's the thing. I think it's time for Dusty to retire. I mean, I think you can't discount what Dusty's done. You can't discount bringing another ring to this city. You can't discount last year, that 2022 run. A lot of it hinged on his bullpen moves and the way he executed that lineup and that roster. It was a masterclass he did last year. This year, it wasn't as much as it wasn't as good of a performance this year as it was last year in the playoffs. And we all know that. So I'm definitely not making excuses. We know the lineup construction. We know the lack of the use of Yainer Diaz. We know that Maldonado was Dusty's guy. I don't think Maldonado comes back. Now, Maldonado is going to do one of two things, but I'm going to tell you about the Jace case first, because if we're talking about troubled times in our real lives, we have things that we've got to deal with, whether it's natural disasters here on the Gulf Coast, all over the world. There's earthquakes, hurricanes, fires, unrest in the Middle East, and these things can upset the supply chain. So a lot of times when those things happen, things like medication and things that you need aren't readily available. Well, I've got the solution. Jace case. It's a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jace is continually working to expand their medication offerings. In the most recent efforts, they've added ivermectin as an option for the Jace case. You can buy gift cards for your family and loved ones so that they can get their Jace case of their own. So go to Jace Medical and enter the code Locked On at checkout for a $20 discount. Eric already has his. He's got his on hand, and you can order yours today. That's promo code Locked On at Jace Medical, JASE Medical.com. So, guys, as we've been talking about Eric, you okay there?
Yeah, I maybe need to take some medicine right now.
It's all good. Well, here's the deal. Our goal, Eric, put that back up there for us. Our goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers. We are less than 150 away, I believe, from 10,000. So we're counting down to 10,000 subscribers. I've got a Morgan Ensberg signed ball. I've got some Astros cards that I'm going to be giving away. I've got some things that I'm going to be giving away from my own collection to you guys. And so let's get us up to 10,000 subscribers. We've got a lot of new listeners that have come on this season. And Eric, I actually met a guy. His name's Brooks. He's from East Texas. He works in Louisiana, and he's known as the Astros guy. And he said, Brett, I want to thank you and Eric for what y'all do. He said, every day driving to Louisiana, I've got about an hour commute. I listen to you guys on the way home. And then on the way to work, I listen to y'all. And on the way home, I find an episode I haven't heard and I listen to that. And you guys keep it positive. You guys keep it level-headed, and I appreciate it. I met probably 4 or 5 people last night that watched us or that watch us currently, and they've all said the same thing. So thank y'all so much for making us the most downloaded Astros podcast and the MLB show on the Locked On Network that still has the most subscribers. We want to get to 10K first. Help us get there. Share it with your friends this week. Let's do it before the World Series is over.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that somebody was asking us our true opinions on Dusty Baker and Martin Maldonado. Honestly, I think they've both done a great job. I think Dusty Baker was exactly what the Astros needed at the time, and he continued to kind of be that steady hand. But at this time, I think there is a clash. There is the analytics side of the Astros, and there is the old school, this is what I'm going to do. You can kind of see the stubbornness towards the end of the season kind of take over. It's my way or the highway with Dusty Baker. And so I think that he's probably frustrated with how, not just from fans, I don't think he gives a crap what we think, But I think that with Dana Brown, we've heard him say, well, I hope that that Dusty puts out the best lineup for today's game. And so
Yeah,
it's just kind of weird situations. Like, I know GMs and managers don't always see eye to eye, but for them to put it out in public like that, and this isn't the first time that we've had the situation. We saw that stuff going on with James Click over who was it? With Miles Straw, and the whole trade and everything. And they're like, why don't you play this type of person? So it's just like, there's been some issues. And I think
there
that
has
Dusty
been.
Baker, he's done a great job. This was great 4 years with the Houston Astros. He's taken them to the playoffs every year, ALCS every year. And he took them to the World Series 2 years in a row, and could have taken them to World Series 3 years in a row, but they just fell one game short. So
They
Brett,
were.
in second, after your thought, are the Astros done? Are the Astros is their window over? And we'll have to discuss that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second. But just to kind of just to put a bow, because I wanted to tell everybody about Jace Medical. It's a great product. Thank you for that sponsorship, guys. But look, Maldonado, one of two things will happen. He'll get signed with another team at a discounted price because another team will want to use his expertise, or he'll stay on with the Astros in a very limited role, maybe as a coach. I don't know if he's ready to coach. Maldonado seems a little bit bullheaded. He has a lot of pride, and he's probably going to want to play another year. And what he played for $5 million this year, he probably goes somewhere else for 3.5 to 5. They'd pay him, but he won't be the starter. Diaz, I keep wanting to say Ledness. Yainer Diaz should be and is the starting catcher for me going into 2024. No questions asked. The only other question is, who's the backup? Who are we going to bring up? Who in our system is there that is good enough to back up? We got rid of Corey Lee. Should we have not gotten rid of Corey Lee? I don't know. We got Graveman for him. That didn't really pan out for us in the playoffs. So you've got that hole there. You've got a mindset of, Eric, I know Dusty hasn't made it official, but I don't see any scenario where Dusty Baker comes back. It doesn't make any sense. When you hear stories, even in Bleacher Report or even in MLB trade rumors, that the front office and Dusty are not seeing eye to eye and that they're frustrated, it kind of reminds me of the image that was portrayed, actually falsely portrayed in Moneyball between Art Howe and Billy Beane. And Art Howe actually said that was a false portrayal of his relationship with Billy Beane. But in the movie, it was like, okay, I honestly thought, what would happen if Dusty Baker said, I'm starting Maldonado today, and Dana Brown said, I traded Martin Maldonado. You remember when they traded Pena so that Scott Hatteberg could play first? I was just like, those are the kinds of things that I imagine going on. But to the Dusty's credit, the Astros gave him that long of a leash. They gave him the leeway to do that. They could have pulled back those reins, Eric. They could have said, we're sorry, you're not doing this. You're playing this guy, you're playing that guy. They chose not to. And I think, look, James Click, I still don't know. I don't like the way he left. Yainer Diaz wouldn't be here without him. Phil Maton wouldn't be here without him. There's some key moves he made to get players here. Did he bring Stanek here as well, Click? Or was Stanek?
Yeah, Stanek was a Click.
Yeah, he brought
because
Stanek.
He came from Tampa Bay.
That's right. And so I trust that the Astros are going to make the right decision. To me, it's a Spada. It's a Spada all the way. Maybe Weiss, he has past managerial experience. I'm hearing Gerald Young. That wouldn't be a bad name. But you need someone that's going to come in and take charge. I don't want an old school players coach. Someone said Ron Washington from Atlanta. I like Ron Washington as a position coach because I've listened to the guy coach, and he's smart. He's got a ton of experience. He's had a ton of up and downs in his career. He might be a good fit in a coaching role, but not as our manager. I say Espada, give him the keys to the Maserati. And you know what? Give Dana Brown the keys to the Maserati, please, and let him do his magic. Let him do what he came here to do. Give him the freedom. Let's get some more people in this clubhouse to help us get back to the World Series.
I actually think that Brad Ausmus is probably one of the top candidates because I know that he's going more for a GM role, but he was a lead candidate for the GM role here. And the Astros, namely Jeff Bagwell, depending on how how strong a relationship he still has with Jim Crane. They really are pushing for Brad Ausmus to get back over here. And so I know his success has not always been the best, but I think that the Astros feel like with the right team, he could probably be a winner. But I think everything you need to know about Dusty Baker can be summarized by the fact that he, as he was packing up his locker, Martin Maldonado, he packed up a Dusty Baker jersey. And I
Yeah. Oh,
think
yeah. I saw that.
that was a big sign as to not just the end of times possibly for him, but likely end of times for Dusty Baker. So, and it was a great time. I mean, yes, he didn't always make the right decisions. He didn't really care what the media said. He didn't really care about what the fans said. But honestly, isn't that what we brought him in for? We brought him in to not give a crap about the media because he had to deal with the whole scandal, the fallout from the scandal. So that's why Dusty Baker was in here, because he dealt with scandal before with Barry Bonds, and he did a great job. And so, yeah, some of his answers are like, you start A, B, C, get back to A. Yes. But that's why we actually kind of like Dusty Baker. So yes. So it's going to be a definitely interesting time for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. October baseball is back, and you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started on with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Hey, why don't you just place your money on whoever plays the Rangers? Vote on the National League team. Go National League. Visit the FanDuel.com/lockedon to create your new account. Are we allowed to say that? You know, I'm saying it anyways. Then you can get in on the action from the first pitch to the final out of the Rangers getting swept in the World Series. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will win the game. That's right. How many fights will Adolis score? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. They don't do that. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to those who will win the game. And if you don't want to wait till the whole game is over to get the W, you can predict the next at bat with quick bets. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step up to the plate to the postseason. $200 on bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. And if you guys want to eat something, you guys want to get some brews, you guys want to watch the World Series or watch football, basketball, UFC, anything that they have going on, go
World
to
Series.
Hooters. I just said World Series. Thank you. Thank you, voice in my head. Galveston is having a pageant this weekend. It's a private event. You've got to buy tickets to it. Go check it out. Give them a call. How do you get there? Eric and I will be some of the judges there at this Hooters pageant. Then you have Pearland, Pasadena, Seabrook, NASA, Stafford, Humble, Katy. I mean, all over Houston, you've got Hooters. Great wings, great brew. Monday through Friday, 2 to 7 p.m. They have happy hour and 10 p.m. to close. Thursday nights, they have karaoke after the Thursday night football. And right now, and as long as they're sponsored with us, go into the store, tell them Locked On Astros sent you. You'll get a free basket of fried pickles. Go to Hooters. Why? Because Hooters makes you happy.
All right, so Dusty Baker, we don't know what's going to happen. Martin Maldonado, we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to be discussing more throughout the whole offseason about all the various free agents and all the people the Astros can still extend. One of the big names we're going to be looking at is Altuve, Bregman, and others. But Hector Neris is a free agent. Michael Brantley is a free agent. Martin Maldonado is a free agent. Ryan Stanek is a free agent. Phil Maton is a free agent, but I believe that Hector Neris can be, there's a player option for 2024.
There's a player option, but
Or
Chandler
8.5.
Rome,
Go ahead.
Chandler Rome reported that he is going to turn that down.
Okay.
He tweeted that out yesterday because I was like, yes.
Seen how much Rafael Montero was making.
Yeah. And you see how much better Neris is than Montero.
Yeah.
So you know what? Neris is probably happy Montero got that because he's like, I'm about to get paid. So he's about to get that bag. And we know about relief pitchers and multiple year contracts. Also, there's a lot of things. So Eric, when I start looking at this rotation, okay, I know we've got JV. I know we've got Fromber. We're hoping he gets some psychological things fixed. I know we got Javier. I think those are your 1, 2, and 3 guys. You know, Jose Urquidy could easily be your number 4, you know, he's going to come in and have a healthy year. Then your 5 is kind of a mixed bag. You have Garcia, you have JP, you have Brown. Do you put Hunter Brown in as a long reliever and end up try to groom him for a back end closing type role?
Right.
Do you prime Brian Abreu to be more of the actual closer? You know, he's the key setup man. How is Presley going to do this next year? But you have a plethora of goods, Eric. At starting pitching, you have so much that you could actually trade some of these arms for some bats.
Right.
Because I don't see the Astros going out and spending big money on an arm. I think they're going to get another arm, but I don't think they're going to go get, like, Snell is out there. Aaron Nola is out there. I mean, there are some big pitching names, but I just don't see them opening their pocketbooks for that, right?
Right.
So who can you trade? Who can you package to get something back? Lance McCullers Jr.'s. Lance McCullers Jr., there's one of them. He needs to be a bullpen guy. He's not reliable as a starter. 3 years in a row, he's had an elbow issue. So he's done in my mind as a starter. You're still paying him. You got a lot of money still on the books for him. Make him a reliever. Put him in a key role, kind of a Brad Peacock type role. At the end of the season, if he's still healthy, maybe you give him a spot start to save some of your starters.
Right.
The Astros have a lot of flexibility, like a really strong, rubber band. They can bend a lot of different ways. What are they going to do? I mean, do you entertain the idea of trading Fromber if you feel like you've gotten the best out of him?
If you don't have the prospect haul to get a big time free agent, trade target, and if you don't have the money, then that might be something you can talk about, or trading like somebody like.
And I'm not saying I want to trade Fromber. I just want to clear that up. I'm just saying
you may have to.
You've got a ton of arms. You've got to trade somebody.
Right.
Real Bite says no.
All right, Brett, I'm gonna put my psychologist hat on.
Hold on. Psychologists don't wear their hat backwards. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to tell you that sometimes your mood and your self-esteem can take a hit when the team you're supporting falls out of the playoffs. So I just want to let you know that the negative effects will be particularly prominent if you have invested a lot of time and emotion in support of the team. Fortunately, in most cases, down feelings you experience will be short-lived. So that's the downside of putting all your eggs in one basket. So what you can do, if you're an Astros fan and you're all invested into the postseason, next year during the postseason, have some other things going on, like maybe read a good book, invest in a good TV series. That way, in case the Astros fall short of the World Series, you don't have all your eggs in a basket. That's my psychologist's thoughts.
Or I love it. Or you could just be always positive, always Astros. Look, going into the game last night, these were my thoughts. I was not nervous. I was not worried. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. I was listening to Javier's words. He said, if it's God's will for us to move forward, then we're going to do it. And bottom line, I guess it wasn't in God's plans. I can tell you this. I remember there was a basketball game I coached, 7th grade girls B team. We had 2 20-minute halves of a running clock. My team didn't make a single basket. And at halftime, I told the ref that I prayed for at least one basket. And the baskets kept missing. It was like someone put a carnival rim over our goal. And the ref looked at me and he said, I guess it wasn't in the Lord's will. I've never seen that. And the next game we played, we scored like 40 points. So look, when a player says I'm putting in God's hands, then I can't argue with the man upstairs. The bottom line is this. I see some comments I want to laugh at, but I can't put them up here. That is a funny comment. But the Astros have a lot to think about. A left fielder, okay?
Right.
Chas McCormick, is he going to be a starter? Is Jake Myers, I'm serious, is Jake Myers going to come back healthy 100%? Or are you going to have a Dubon, McCormick, Myers center field? Is someone like Joey Loperfido going to make the jump? Shea Whitcomb, are they going to who's going to come up from, Spaghetti himself, Spaghetti Arrighetti? Is he going to jump up to the pros?
Right.
You've got a lot of guys sitting in AAA. Will Wagner, is he going to make a move next year? Will Wagner was moving up and making splashes last year. Rhett Kuba, Dombrowski, you've got a ton of names out there of Astros players that really are primed to make that move. And will we have some surprising moves next year in the minor leagues? I think there's so much to talk about, dude.
Yeah. And I think that whoever the new coach is, their manager is, I think they need to be more open to playing the young players. And I know Dusty Baker always said that, I'm going to play all my players because I need to get them out there. But Yainer Diaz seemed to be, I know he played DH a lot, but he didn't catch a lot. If he's the catcher of the future, you got to get him out there. And we kind of saw that in playoffs, and it kind of hurt him. He eventually got a big hit, but we need a manager that's going to welcome the youth of the generation, because we don't know if Jim Crane's going to go out there and get a big time free agent. We don't know if they're going to make any trades. We don't know what's going to happen. But I think the answer to will the winning continue? I think as long as we have Jose Altuve in the lineup and Alvarez and a couple other guys, I think this team will continue to win, because Altuve is he's the little engine that could. And he's just what drives this team, and you got to just build a team around him. And you can't just go through an offseason where you just like, oh, we won the World Series, we'll be fine, don't worry about it. We got this.
Exactly. Well, hey, Eric, this has been a great show, the first show of the end of the season. And Jose Altuve ends the postseason with 27 home runs all time in the postseason, the same as his number, 2 away from Manny Ramirez. And so I really think that he's going to break that next year. Stay tuned in with us. Yeah. That's right. Hey, all year, help us get to 10K subscribers. He's Eric the Man Huysman. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. We are your only daily Astros podcast. We're always positive, always Stros. And stay with us, as we will always be with you on your side. Bury me in the H and tell him, Eric.
Go Stros. Yeehaw. Astros are going to get him in game 8.
Game